The morning started like any other Tuesday on Earth. People went to work, children went to school, and life moved at its normal pace. Then the sky changed. Massive ships appeared over every major city on the planet. They were huge, dark, and shaped like giant metal teardrops. The ships blocked out the sun over New York, London, Tokyo, and Seoul. People stopped walking and looked up. Cars pulled over. Everyone pointed at the sky. Within minutes, every television, radio, phone, and computer on Earth received the same message. The voice was deep and mechanical. It spoke in perfect English, then repeated the same words in every human language. People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vashitel of the Keth Empire. Your planet is now under our control. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Lay down all weapons. Stop all military activities. Prepare for our rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your world completely. This is your only warning. The message ended. The ships hung in the sky like dark clouds, silent and threatening. In Seoul, President Park Dae-ho sat in an emergency meeting room. Government officials ran in and out, bringing reports and making phone calls. The president looked tired already, and it had only been 2 hours since the ships arrived. What do we know about them? He asked his advisors. General Kim Woo-jin spoke first. Our satellites show the ships are about 2 kilometers long each. We count 50 ships total over major cities worldwide. They appeared suddenly, no warning, from our space monitoring systems. Secretary of Defense Lim Hye-jin added, We tried radio contact, no response. We tried shooting warning missiles near one ship over the Pacific. The missiles just stopped. They fell into the ocean like someone turned off their engines. Across the city at Seoul National University, Dr. Lee Tae-min was not panicking like everyone else. He was excited. As a scientist who studied alien life, this was the most important day of his career. He sat in his laboratory with his colleague Dr. Choi Min-ae, who specialized in languages. Look at this, Tae-min said, pointing at his computer screen. I recorded their broadcast signal. The frequency patterns are very interesting. Min-ae leaned over to see. What do you mean? Most people hear the words, but I'm looking at the sound waves themselves. See these small vibrations under the main voice? Those are emotional markers. In humans, we call them micro-expressions in speech. Min-ae studied the patterns. As a language expert, she understood what he meant. You're saying we can tell how they really feel, not just what they're saying? Exactly. And look here. Tae-min pointed to specific waves. These patterns usually mean fear or anxiety, not anger or confidence. So they're scared? Maybe. Or at least not as sure of themselves as they want us to think. Meanwhile, in the busy Myeongdong district of Seoul, street food vendor Han Gil-dong was doing what he always did. He was cooking. His small cart sold the best Korean barbecue in the area, and he was not going to let some alien stop him from making lunch for his customers. A young office worker approached his cart nervously. Aren't you scared? She asked. The alien said, They'll destroy everything. Gil-dong flipped some meat on his grill and smiled. Look, if aliens traveled all this way across space just to visit Earth, they must be curious about us, right? And what's the first thing any visitor wants to try? The local food. The office worker laughed despite her fear. You think aliens want Korean barbecue? Why not? Everyone else does. I bet they've never had anything this good in space. Gil-dong took out his phone and started recording a video. Hello, aliens, he said, holding up some perfectly grilled meat. Welcome to Earth. If you want to conquer our planet, you should at least try our food first. I'm Han Gil-dong, and I make the best Korean barbecue in Seoul. Come down and have lunch with us. We can talk about this whole surrender thing over a good meal. He posted the video on social media with the caption, If aliens want Earth, they should earn it by trying our food first. Within an hour, the video had 1 million views. Other people started making their own videos. A pizza maker in Italy held up a fresh pizza to the sky. A sushi chef in Tokyo offered the aliens free sashimi. Soon, Cars Feed the Aliens was trending worldwide. In the alien command ship floating over Seoul, Commander Vashtel watched the human responses with growing confusion. He was a tall, thin being with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. His people, the Keth, had conquered 47 worlds using the same method. Send the ultimatum, wait for surrender, take control. Commander, said his second-in-command, Officer Naldok. The humans are not responding correctly. Vashatel studied the reports on his screen. What do you mean? Sir, they are not hiding. They are not preparing weapons. Instead, they are cooking food and making videos. Vashtel looked at the monitor showing thousands of humans in Seoul's streets. They were not running in panic. Many were looking up at his ship and waving. Some held signs that said, "Welcome to Earth," and "Try Korean food." This is wrong, Vashtel muttered. They should be afraid, they should be begging for mercy. Sir, some of our crew have been watching their video broadcasts. The humans seem to be inviting us to eat with them. Vashtel had never encountered anything like this in his long military career. Every other species had either surrendered immediately or fought back. None had ever offered food. Maintain position, he ordered. Continue monitoring. Maybe they are planning something. But as the hours passed, more humans gathered in the streets. They brought blankets and picnic baskets. Children played games. Parents pointed at the alien ships and explained to their kids about visitors from space. Back at the university, Dr. Lee Taemin and Dr. Choi Min-ae were making more discoveries. They had found a way to listen to alien communications between ships. Their language is mathematical, Min-ae explained to government officials who had come to hear their findings. But it also has emotional elements. From what we can understand, they seem confused. Confused about what? Asked General Kim Woo-jin. About us. They keep saying things like unexpected response and protocol failure. It sounds like we're not acting the way they thought we would. President Park Dae-ho considered this information. So they expected us to surrender immediately? Or fight back, Taemin said. What they didn't expect was for us to invite them to dinner. As the first day ended, the alien ultimatum countdown continued. 60 hours remained. But instead of preparing for war or surrender, humans around the world were preparing food and planning welcome parties. The aliens wanted Earth to surrender. Instead, Earth wanted to know if they were hungry. The second day of the alien ultimatum brought something the Keith Empire had never seen before. Instead of fear or preparation for war, Earth exploded with curiosity. At Yonsei University in Seoul, college student Park So-young had turned her astronomy club into an alien research team. She and 20 other students had been up all night studying the alien ships with telescopes and computers. Look at this, So-young said, showing her findings to her professor. The ships are staying exactly 35,000 kilometers above Earth. That's just outside our magnetic field. Her professor, Dr. Nam Hyun-woo, looked at the measurements. That's very specific. Why would they choose that distance? Maybe they have to, So-young suggested. What if their technology doesn't work well inside our magnetic field? What if that's why they're keeping their distance? Dr. Nam nodded thoughtfully. If that's true, they might not be as powerful as they want us to think. Across the city at the Korean Space Agency, Captain Yoon Ji-hwan was thinking the same thing. He had been studying the alien ship's energy signatures all night. What he found was surprising. Sir, he reported to his commander, their ships are not designed for battle. What do you mean? The energy patterns show they're built for long distance travel, not fighting. Their hull design is for speed and efficiency, not defense. These ships are more like space buses than warships. Are you saying they can't actually destroy us? Captain Yoon looked at his data again. I'm saying they might not want to. Their ships could probably damage our cities, but it would use most of their energy. They'd be stuck here with no way to leave. While scientists studied the aliens, regular people were having their own ideas. Chef Lim Da-eun from Busan had become famous overnight. Her video cooking traditional Korean dishes for the aliens had been watched 50 million times. Today I'm making kimchi jjigae, she announced to her camera while stirring a pot of kimchi stew. This is comfort food. When you're far from home and feeling lonely, this soup makes everything better. She held up a bowl toward the sky. Dear Aliens, if you've been traveling in space for a long time, you probably miss home cooking. Come try this. Food brings people together. The hashtag year Welcome to Earth dinner was now trending in 40 languages. Restaurants around the world were posting pictures of dishes they wanted to share with the aliens. Food trucks gathered in city centers under the alien ships. Street musicians played welcome songs. In Rome, an Italian grandmother made pasta and held it up to the alien ship. In Mumbai, a family shared their curry recipes on social media. In Mexico City, people gathered for the largest taco party in history, all while looking up at the alien ship and waving. The aliens watched all of this with growing confusion. Commander Vashitel called another meeting with his officers. "Report on human military activities," he ordered. Officer Naldok looked uncomfortable. "Sir, there are no significant military activities. Some countries move their armies to defensive positions, but most human military forces are helping with the food gatherings." "What do you mean, helping with food gatherings?" "Sir, in several cities, human soldiers are helping civilians organize welcome parties. They're providing security for large gatherings and helping distribute food." Vashtel stared at his officer. "The humans are having parties?" "Yes, sir. Large outdoor meals. They call them potluck dinners and alien welcome feasts. Millions of humans are participating." Another officer, Kelmira, added her report. "Sir, we've been monitoring their internet communications. The humans are sharing recipes and cooking instructions. They seem to believe that food is the best way to welcome strangers." Vashitel had conquered many worlds, but he had never encountered anything like this. What about their leaders? Surely their governments are preparing defenses. "Some are, sir, but many are also participating in the food activities. The president of South Korea was seen yesterday visiting food vendors and encouraging citizens to show our guests the best of human hospitality." Vashitel felt a headache coming on. In all his years of conquest, he had never had to deal with a species that responded to invasion threats with dinner invitations. Back on Earth, Dr. Lee Tae-min and Dr. Choi Min-ae had made another breakthrough. They had found a way to analyze the aliens' ship movements and energy patterns. "They're running low on power," Tae-min explained to a meeting of world leaders via video conference. "Their ships are efficient, but they've been using energy for the intimidation displays. Those big ships floating in the sky take a lot of power to maintain." President Park Dae-ho asked, "How much time do they have?" "Based on the energy decrease, we're measuring maybe a week, 2 weeks at most, then they'll have to land or leave." UN Secretary General Kim Bo-ra joined the conversation from New York. "So they need to make a decision soon." "Yes," Dr. Choi Min-ae added. "And there's something else. We've been listening to their communications. They keep talking about protocol failures and unexpected variables. It sounds like they've done this many times before, but always with the same results." "What results?" asked General Kim Woo-jin. "Either immediate surrender or immediate war. They don't have a protocol for hospitality." As the second day continued, more humans joined the global welcome party. The 48-hour countdown on the alien Ultimatum was becoming less important than the question everyone was asking. What do aliens like to eat? Food scientists around the world started researching alien dietary possibilities. Nutritionists made educated guesses about what space travelers might need. Chefs experimented with new dishes designed to be appealing to different types of beings. Han Gil-dong, the street food vendor whose video had started the food movement, was now getting help from other vendors. They had set up a small food court in Seoul's Han River Park, directly under the alien ship. "If they're going to come down," Gildong told reporters, "this is probably where they'll land. And when they do, we'll be ready with the best welcome meal in human history." Thousands of people came to the park each day. They brought food, blankets, and musical instruments. Children played games while adults shared stories and recipes. Everyone looked up at the alien ship with curiosity instead of fear. The scene was broadcast live around the world. Other cities started their own welcome gatherings. What had begun as one man's simple idea about sharing food was becoming humanity's official response to first contact. In the alien ship above, Commander Vashitel watched the humans below. His crew had started asking questions he couldn't answer. "Sir," Officer Naldok said quietly, "some of the crew are wondering, what if we just talked to them?" "Talk to them?" "Yes, sir. What if we went down there and tried their food?" Vashtel looked at his officer in shock. In 300 years of Keth military tradition, no one had ever suggested trying the local food during a conquest, but as he watched the humans below sharing meals and laughing together, he began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, his people had been doing this wrong all along. The ultimatum had 36 hours left. But for the first time in his military career, Commander Vashtel was not sure he wanted the humans to surrender. On the third day, Dr. Lee Taman made a discovery that changed everything. He had been working all night in his laboratory using new equipment borrowed from Korea's space program. Dr. Choi Min-ai sat beside him, both of them surrounded by computers and analysis screens. "I found something," Taman said, his voice tired but excited. "Look at this quantum frequency analysis of their communications." Min-ai leaned over to see the data. "What am I looking at?" "These are not the communication patterns of a conquering empire," Taman explained. "These are the patterns of refugees." Refugees? Taman pointed to specific wave patterns on his screen. "See these stress markers? And these repetitive phrases about finding a new home and survival protocols? This isn't the language of conquerors. This is the language of people who are homeless and desperate." Min-ai studied the translations she had been working on. "Now that you mention it, they do keep talking about the destruction and the loss of the homeworld. I thought they meant worlds they had conquered, but what if they mean their own world?" They worked together for several more hours, analyzing every communication they had intercepted. The picture that emerged was completely different from what the world had believed. "We need to call the government," Min-ai said. "Right now." Within 2 hours, President Park Dae-ho was in an emergency video conference with world leaders, listening to the scientists' findings. "Are you telling us," asked UN Secretary General Kim Bo-ra, "that these aliens are not actually invaders?" Dr. Lee Tae-min nodded. "Based on all our analysis, the Keth Empire appears to be a refugee fleet. They've been traveling through space for a very long time, probably generations. Their conquest method seems to be a survival strategy." "What kind of survival strategy?" asked President Park. Dr. Choi Min-ai explained. "They find planets with less advanced civilizations, threaten them into submission, then take resources and establish colonies. It's not about empire building. It's about finding a place to live." General Kim Woo-jin frowned. "But they threaten to destroy us." "Yes, but think about it," Tae-min said. "They're probably hoping we'll surrender so they don't have to fight. Fighting would use energy and resources they can't afford to lose. So they're bluffing?" "Partly. They could probably cause significant damage, but it would cost them everything. They're hoping the threat alone will be enough." Professor Nam Hyun-woo, who had been studying interstellar politics, added his analysis. "This explains their behavior patterns. They stay outside our magnetic field because their ships are not military vessels. They're civilian ships modified for intimidation. They've probably never encountered a species that didn't either surrender immediately or attack back. And we're doing neither," President Park realized. "Exactly. We're confusing them because we're responding with curiosity and hospitality. They don't have a protocol for that." While the world leaders discussed this new information, the 72-hour deadline was approaching. Only 18 hours remained. But instead of panic, the deadline was becoming a countdown to the biggest welcome party in human history. In Seoul's Han River Park, the crowd had grown to over 100,000 people. Han Gil-dong's small food cart had become the center of a massive outdoor feast. Vendors from across Korea had come to help. There were stations serving Korean barbecue, kimchi, bibimbap, bulgogi, and dozens of other dishes. "If they're refugees," Gil-dong told a news reporter, "then they're probably hungry and tired. That's exactly when people need good food and kind words most." The mood in the park was like a festival. Musicians played traditional Korean songs mixed with modern pop music. Children drew pictures of aliens and humans eating together. Adults shared stories about their own families who had once been refugees. Similar scenes were happening around the world. The revelation that the aliens might be homeless had made humans even more welcoming. Food banks organized special welcome packages. Restaurants prepared their best dishes. City governments set up temporary shelters in case the aliens needed places to stay. In the alien command ship, Commander Vashitel was facing the worst crisis of his career. The human deadline had passed, but instead of surrendering or attacking, Earth had thrown a planet-wide welcome party. "Sir," Officer Naldok reported, "our energy reserves are down to 60%. We need to make a decision soon." "What are our options?" Vashtel asked, though he already knew the answer. "We can attack as promised, but that will use 40% of our remaining energy. We'll be trapped here with no way to leave if we don't find resources quickly. Or we can leave and find another world, but sir, we've been searching for 3 years. This is the best planet we've found. Good atmosphere, plenty of water, suitable gravity." Officer Kelmira added, "Sir, there's a third option." Vashitel looked at her. "Which is?" "We could talk to them." The suggestion hung in the air like a dangerous idea. In Keth military tradition, you never showed weakness. You never negotiated from a position of need. "Sir," Naldok said quietly, "the crew is asking questions. They've been watching the human broadcasts. They've seen the food, the music, the celebrations. Some are saying, maybe the humans would help us if we just asked." Vashtel felt something he had not experienced in decades of military service: doubt. For 300 years, the Keth had survived through intimidation and force. But what if there was another way? "Show me the human gathering again," he ordered. On the main screen, they watched the scene in Seoul's Han River Park. Families sharing meals, children playing, people of all ages looking up at their ship with curiosity instead of fear. Music and laughter filled the air. "Sir," Officer Kelmira said, "our cultural analysts have been studying human behavior. They say humans have something called hospitality culture. When strangers arrive, especially if they seem to need help, humans often offer food and shelter." "Even to threats?" "Sir, they don't seem to see us as threats anymore. They seem to see us as guests." Vashitel watched a group of human children holding up drawings they had made. The pictures showed stick figures of humans and aliens sitting together at tables full of food. For the first time in his long military career, Commander Vashitel wondered if his people had been approaching this all wrong. What if instead of demanding surrender, they had simply asked for help? "Sir," Naldok said, "we have 17 hours left on the ultimatum deadline. The humans are expecting some kind of response." Vashtel looked around at his officers. They were all watching the human celebrations with expressions he had never seen before. Instead of military readiness, they looked curious. "Sir," Officer Kelmira said, "permission to speak freely?" "Granted." "What if we went down there? Not as conquerors, but as visitors?" The idea was so radical that Vashitel almost rejected it immediately. But then he thought about his people. Thousands of Keth living on ships, eating processed nutrition blocks, never feeling solid ground under their feet. "Prepare a small shuttle," he said finally. "If the humans want to meet us, maybe it's time we met them too." His officers stared at him in surprise. "Sir, you mean—" "I mean," Vashitel said, "that maybe there's more than one way to find a new home." As the alien commander prepared for the most unusual diplomatic mission in Keth history, the humans below continued their welcome party, not knowing that they were about to make first contact over a shared meal. The small Keth shuttle landed in Han River Park at exactly noon on the third day, with only 12 hours left before the ultimatum deadline. Commander Vashitel stepped out first, followed by officers Naldok and Kelmira. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They wore simple gray uniforms, not the battle armor humans might have expected. The crowd in the park went silent for a moment. Then Seoul Mayor Oh Sang-min stepped forward. He had been waiting at the park since morning, hoping this moment would come. "Welcome to Earth," the mayor said in English, bowing in traditional Korean style. "Welcome to Seoul. Welcome to our home." Commander Vashitel stopped walking. In 300 years of conquest, no planetary leader had ever welcomed him. Most either surrendered in fear or shouted angry threats. None had ever bowed respectfully. I am Mayor O Sang-min, the mayor continued. We are honored by your visit. Please, would you like some tea? Vashitel looked at his officers, then back at the mayor. Tea? Yes, a warm drink. We prepared it specially for your arrival. And food if you are hungry. The Keth commander felt completely lost. This was not in any military protocol he knew. We came to discuss your surrender. Mayor O smiled, gently. We came to offer you lunch. Please sit with us. Dr. Lee Taemin and Dr. Choi Min-ae hurried over. They had been waiting nearby with translation equipment, though it seemed the aliens spoke perfect English. Commander Vashitel, Dr. Choi, said, We are Dr. Lee Taemin and Dr. Choi Min-ae from Seoul National University. We have been studying your language and culture. We understand you may need help. Help? Vashitel repeated. Yes, Dr. Lee said gently. We know you are not just conquerors. You are refugees, aren't you? The words hit Vashitel like a physical blow. Officer Nelduk stepped closer to his commander, worried that their secret had been discovered. How did you? Vashitel began. Your communication patterns, Dr. Choi explained. Your language contains emotional markers that suggest loss and searching, not victory and conquest. You're looking for a new home. Vashitel felt something break inside him. For decades, he had carried the weight of his people's survival on his shoulders. He had played the role of the fierce conqueror to hide the truth that they were desperate and homeless. Our world, he said quietly, was destroyed 90 years ago. We have been traveling ever since, searching for a place where our people can live. Mayor O nodded understandingly. That must have been very difficult, losing your home, being responsible for so many people. The simple compassion in the mayor's voice did something to Vashitel that no threat or negotiation ever had. His carefully maintained military composure began to crack. We thought the only way to survive was to take what we needed. Other species either fought us or surrendered to us. We never found one that offered to help. Dr. Lee suggested. Yes. Officer Kelmira spoke up. Commander, perhaps we should tell them about the real threat. Vashitel looked at her sharply, but she continued. Sir, they deserve to know. If we stay here, the Nexus Horde will eventually follow our trail. The Nexus Horde? Dr. Choi asked. Vashitel sighed deeply. The ones who destroyed our world. They are a machine empire that consumes organic planets. They followed us here before, to other worlds. They will come here too, eventually. How long do we have? Mayor O asked, his calm demeanor never changing. Months, maybe less. They are slower than us, but they never stop hunting. The humans exchanged glances. This information changed everything, but not in the way Vashitel expected. Then we'll need to prepare, Mayor O said simply. You don't understand, Vashitel said. The Horde destroys everything. Planets, stars, entire solar systems. They turn organic matter into fuel for their machines. And you've been running from them for 90 years? Yes. Then you must be very tired, Mayor O said. And hungry. Please, come sit with us. We can discuss this properly over a meal. The mayor gestured toward a large table that had been set up under a tent. Han Gildong was there with several other food vendors, preparing dishes on portable grills and stoves. I still don't understand, Vashitel said. We threatened to destroy your world. Why are you being kind to us? Dr. Lee smiled. Because you're not really conquerors, are you? You're just people who lost their home and need help. But we could have destroyed your cities. Could you? Dr. Choi asked gently. Really? Or would that have used up most of your remaining energy and left you stranded here? Vashitel stared at the human scientist. They had figured out everything. Han Gildong approached with a plate of food. Commander, I'm Han Gildong. I make the best Korean barbecue on this planet. Please, try this. He held out a plate of perfectly grilled bulgogi with rice and vegetables. The smell was unlike anything Vashitel had ever experienced. What is it? He asked. Bulgogi, marinated beef, grilled with Korean spices. It's comfort food. We make it when we want to welcome someone special. Vashitel looked at the food, then at the humans surrounding him. His officers watched nervously as their commander picked up a piece of meat with the chopsticks Gildong had provided. The Keth had taste receptors far more sensitive than humans. When Vashtel put the food in his mouth, the explosion of flavors was overwhelming. Sweet, savory, smoky, with complex spices he had no names for. To everyone's surprise, the tough military commander began to cry. "Commander," Officer Naldok asked in alarm. "It's..." Vashtel struggled to speak. "We have eaten only nutrition blocks for 90 years. I had forgotten that food could taste like home." Gildong smiled and prepared more plates for the other Keth officers. "There's plenty more where that came from. Please sit, eat. We have a lot to talk about." As the Keth officers tasted real food for the first time in decades, the crowd in the park began to relax. Children came closer, curious about the tall blue aliens. Musicians started playing soft background music. "Commander," Mayor O said as they sat at the table, "you said this Nexus horde will come here eventually." "Yes. They follow destruction patterns. When planets are damaged by raids, they investigate. They will find this solar system." "How strong are they?" Officer Kelmira answered. "They destroyed our homeworld in 3 days. We had technology almost as advanced as theirs, but they adapt too quickly to conventional tactics." Dr. Lee leaned forward. "What if we work together? Keth technology and human creativity? You would fight for us?" Vashitel asked in amazement. "Not for you," Mayor O corrected. "With you. This is our world too now if you want to stay. We protect our home together." As the afternoon continued, more government officials arrived. President Park Dae-ho came to the park personally, bringing UN Secretary General Kim Bora via video link. The aliens shared everything they knew about the Nexus horde. The humans shared their military capabilities and technological resources. What emerged was a plan that neither species could have developed alone. But first, Gildong insisted, they needed to eat properly. "War planning is important," he said, serving another round of food. "But you can't fight well on an empty stomach. And you can't plan well if you don't trust each other. Food builds trust." As the sun set over Seoul, the deadline for the alien ultimatum passed completely ignored. Instead of surrender or destruction, Earth had gained new allies and learned about a real threat. But more importantly, Commander Vashitel had learned something his people had forgotten in 90 years of wandering. Sometimes the best way to find a home is to ask for help, not demand surrender. And sometimes the best diplomacy happens over a shared meal. 3 weeks after first contact, Earth had become a very different place. The Keth fleet had moved into Earth's orbit and established what humans called the most peaceful invasion in history. Instead of conquering cities, Keth engineers were helping human cities upgrade their power systems. Instead of enslaving humans, they were teaching them advanced mathematics and energy manipulation. Commander Vashitel, now calling himself Admiral Vashitel of the Earth-Keith Defense Alliance, stood in the command center of the joint headquarters in Seoul. The building had been constructed in record time using both human construction techniques and Keth energy technology. "Admiral," Captain Yoon Ji-hwan reported, "the retrofit of the Pacific Fleet is complete. 20 human ships now have Keth energy shields and propulsion systems." "Excellent. What about the new weapons?" Engineer Kwon Min-soo, who had become the lead designer for human Keth hybrid technology, smiled proudly. "The energy projectile cannons are ready for testing. We combined your energy manipulation technology with our magnetic acceleration principles. The result is impressive." "Admiral." Vashitel had learned to enjoy these briefings. Working with humans was unlike anything in his military experience. Where Keth planning was methodical and traditional, humans were creative and unpredictable. The combination was producing innovations that surprised everyone. "The humans have a saying," Officer Naldok observed. "Two heads are better than one." I'm Beginning to understand what they mean, Vashitel replied. In another part of the building, Dr. Lee Taemin and Dr. Choi Min-ae were working with Keth scientists on communication systems. They had discovered that Keth technology could enhance human brain function temporarily, allowing for faster learning and better problem-solving. "This is remarkable," Dr. Park So-young said. She was now the lead astronomer for the Joint Space Program. "With Keth neural enhancers, we can process star charts and energy patterns at incredible speeds." Dr. Choi looked up from her translation. "Work. And with human pattern recognition, we can understand Keth emotional languages much better. We're becoming better communicators together than either species was alone." The cultural exchange was happening everywhere. Korean language schools were teaching Keth officers how to speak human languages. Keth teachers were showing human students how to manipulate energy with their minds. But the most popular exchange was still food. Han Gil-dong had become something of a celebrity. His small food cart had grown into Earth's first interstellar restaurant. He now employed a dozen human cooks and had learned to prepare food that Keth could digest safely. "The secret," he explained to a news reporter, "is understanding that Keth taste everything much more strongly than we do. So I use smaller amounts of spice, but more complex combinations of flavors." Officer Kelmira, who had become a regular customer, added, "Human food has helped our people remember what it means to enjoy life, not just survive it." The restaurant had become an unofficial embassy. Human families brought their children to meet Keth visitors. Keth officers came to try new dishes and practice their English. Diplomats from both species often held meetings over shared meals. But beneath all this cooperation was the knowledge that time was running out. Admiral, Dr. Lee Tae-min entered the command center with urgent news. "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected something." Admiral Vashitel felt his heart skip a beat. "The Horde? We think so. Energy signatures consistent with mechanical ship movements, about 4 months away." The room went quiet. Everyone had known this day would come, but it still felt too soon. Captain Yoon spoke first. "How many ships?" "It's hard to tell at this distance, but hundreds, maybe thousands." Admiral Vashitel closed his eyes. The Nexus Horde had found them. "Admiral," Engineer Kwan said, "we're not ready. We need more time to complete the defense grid." "How much more time?" 6 months minimum, 8 months to be sure. We have 4 months at most." President Park Dae-ho, who had been attending the briefing via video link, spoke up. "What are our options?" Admiral Vashitel had been dreading this question. "We can run. My people can leave Earth. Draw the Horde away from your planet." "No," Captain Yoon said immediately. "This is our home too now. We fight together." "The Horde has destroyed entire star systems," Vashitel protested. "You don't understand what you're saying?" "Yes, we do," President Park replied. "We understand that our friends are in danger and we don't abandon our friends." Officer Naldok looked confused. "Friends?" Dr. Choi smiled. "It's a human concept. People who care about each other and help each other even when it's difficult or dangerous, even when it might cost them their lives. Especially then." Admiral Vashitel felt something he had thought lost forever. Hope. In 90 years of running, his people had been alone. Now, for the first time, they were not. "Then we need to accelerate our plans," he said. "And we need to think like humans." "What do you mean?" Engineer Kwan asked. "Keth's strategy is methodical and predictable. The Horde has learned to counter our tactics, but human strategy is crazy," Captain Yoon finished with a grin. "Unpredictable. Creative." "Exactly. We need to surprise them." Over the next few days, the Joint Command Center became a hive of activity. Humans and Keth worked together around the clock, developing strategies that neither species would have imagined alone. Engineer Kwan proposed using Earth's moon as a giant weapon platform. Dr. Park So-young suggested hiding ships inside asteroids. Admiral Vashitel shared detailed intelligence about Horde tactics and weaknesses, but it was Han Gil-dong who made the suggestion that changed everything. He arrived at the command center carrying a tray of food, as he often did. "You've all been working too hard," he said. setting down plates of Korean fried chicken and Keth energy bread. You need to eat. As the planners took a break to eat, Gildong looked at their strategy displays. You know, he said thoughtfully, this reminds me of cooking for a big festival. How so? Admiral Vashitel asked. When I was young, my grandmother taught me to cook for hundreds of people at once. She said the secret was not to cook one big meal, but to coordinate many small meals at the same time, confuse people's expectations. Engineer Kwan looked up from his food. What do you mean? The Horde expects one big battle, right? Ships fighting ships in space? Yes, Admiral Vashtel confirmed. What if instead of one big battle, we gave them 100 small surprises? What if we made them think they were fighting one kind of war, when we were actually fighting a completely different kind? Dr. Lee leaned forward. A distributed defense network, multiple small actions instead of one large confrontation. Like a festival, Gildong smiled. Everyone doing their part, but together creating something bigger than anyone could do alone. Admiral, Vashtel stared at the food vendor who had somehow become a military strategist. That might actually work. Of course it will work, Gildong said confidently. Food brings people together, and when people work together, they can accomplish anything. As plans for the most unusual space battle in galactic history began to take shape, Admiral Vashitel realized that his people had not just found a new home on Earth. They had found something more valuable than any planet. They had found a people who believed that any problem could be solved if you approached it with creativity, cooperation, and a good meal. The Nexus Horde was coming, but for the first time in 90 years, Admiral Vashitel was not afraid. Because for the first time, his people were not facing the threat alone. The night before the Nexus Horde arrived, Earth held the largest dinner party in human history. It was Han Gildong's idea, of course. If we might die tomorrow, he had told the Joint Command Council, then tonight we celebrate life. We celebrate friendship. We eat together one more time. Every major city on Earth had organized outdoor feasts. In Seoul, millions of people gathered in parks and streets, sharing food with their Keth neighbors. Similar scenes played out in New York, London, Mumbai, São Paulo, and hundreds of other cities. Admiral Vashitel stood on the observation deck of the new space station orbiting Earth. Through the windows, he could see the lights of the celebration below. Beside him, President Park Dae-ho and UN Secretary General Kim Bo-ra watched the same scene. Are you sure this is wise? Admiral Vashitel asked. Tomorrow we face the greatest threat in galactic history, and your people are having parties. President Park smiled. Admiral, in the past 4 months you've learned a lot about humans, but you still don't understand us completely. What do you mean? Secretary General Kim explained. Humans fight better when we have something worth fighting for. Tonight we're reminding ourselves what that is. On the planet below, the celebration was unlike anything ever seen. Keth officers sat with human families, teaching children how to make their skin glow with bioluminescence. Human grandmothers showed Keth elders how to use chopsticks. Musicians from both species created new songs together. In Seoul's Han River Park, now called Unity Park, Chef Lim Da-eun was preparing her masterpiece, a fusion dish that combined Korean flavors with Keth nutritional needs. She called it Harmony Bowl, and it had become the symbol of human-Keth cooperation. This represents everything we've accomplished, she told the news cameras. Different ingredients, different techniques, but when combined with care and respect, they create something beautiful. Han Gildong, now officially Earth's interstellar culinary ambassador, was everywhere at once, making sure everyone had enough to eat. His original food cart had grown into a mobile kitchen that employed dozens of cooks from both species. Food is love, he told a group of Keth children who were trying ice cream for the first time. When we share food, we share our hearts. The Keth children giggled as the cold dessert made their taste-sensitive mouths tingle. Their human friends showed them how to eat it slowly to avoid brain freeze. Captain Yoon Ji-hwan found Admiral Vashtel on the space station later that evening. Admiral, the final defense preparations are complete. Report, Vashitel said, though his eyes remained on the celebration below. 200 hybrid ships are in position throughout the solar system. The asteroid belt has been converted into a defense grid. Moonbase Alpha is fully operational with the new energy cannons. Earth surface installations are ready. And the surprise strategies? Captain Yoon grinned. Engineer Kwan's festival defense plan is ready. Instead of meeting them head-on, we'll use exactly what Gildong suggested. Hundreds of small, coordinated actions designed to confuse and overwhelm their adaptive programming. Admiral Vashtel nodded. The plan was certainly creative. When the Horde arrived expecting traditional space combat, they would instead face swarms of small ships attacking from unexpected angles, weapons that changed tactics mid-battle, and defensive strategies that made no logical sense. The Horde adapts by analyzing patterns, Vashtel mused. But human tactics often have no patterns. That's the idea. We're going to out-crazy them. Down on Earth, the celebration continued into the night. Dr. Lee Tae-min and Dr. Choi Min-ae shared a quiet dinner with Officer Kelmira and several other Keth scientists. "I want to thank you," Officer Kelmira said in carefully practiced Korean. "Before we came to Earth, my people had forgotten how to hope. You gave us that back." Dr. Choi smiled. "You gave us something too. You showed us that we're not alone in the universe." "Whatever happens tomorrow," Dr. Lee added, "we face it together." In space, the defense fleet waited. Human and Keth crews worked side by side in ships that represented the best of both technologies. The vessels looked like no warships anyone had ever seen. Sleek human designs powered by Keth energy systems, with weapons that could shift between different modes of attack instantly. Admiral Vashatel returned to the command center as the first reports came in. "Admiral," Dr. Park So-young reported from the Deep Space Monitoring Station, "they're here. On the main display, thousands of dark angular ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. The Nexus Horde had arrived. The Horde ships were massive, mechanical, and terrifying. They moved in perfect formation, like a swarm of deadly insects. Their dark hulls absorbed light, making them look like holes in space itself." "Analysis?" Admiral Vashtel requested. 3,000 ships, various sizes. Standard Horde formation. Scouts, warriors, and planet crackers. They're moving toward Earth at steady speed, probably scanning for defenses. Time until they reach our first defense line? 18 hours. Admiral Vashtel opened communications to all defense positions. "All stations, this is Admiral Vashtel. The Horde has arrived. In 18 hours we begin the most important battle in the history of both our species. But tonight we rest. Tonight we remember what we fight for." On Earth, the celebration gradually wound down as people learned of the Horde's arrival. But there was no panic, no fear. Instead, there was determination. Han Gildong made one final broadcast to the world. Standing in Unity Park with Human and Keith friends beside him, he spoke simply. "Tomorrow, we fight to protect our home. But tonight, we proved something important. We proved that different people can become one family. We proved that sharing food and friendship makes us stronger together than we ever were apart." He held up a bowl of Harmony Bowl, the fusion dish that had become their symbol. "The Horde thinks they're fighting humans and Keth separately, but they're wrong. They're fighting Earth, all of us together, and Earth doesn't surrender." The crowd cheered, both human and Keth voices joining together. Admiral Vashatel watched the broadcast from the command center. For 90 years, his people had run from the Horde in fear. Tomorrow, for the first time, they would turn and fight, not because they were cornered, but because they had found something worth fighting for. "Admiral," Engineer Kwan announced, "all defense stations report ready. Fleet positions, all ships in position and standing by. Weapons systems, charged and ready." Admiral Vashatel looked around the command center. Human and Keth officers worked together seamlessly, their different strengths combining into something greater than either species could achieve alone. "Then we wait," he said. "In 18 hours, we show the Nexus Horde something they've never seen before." "What's that, sir?" Captain Yoon asked. Admiral Vashatel smiled, using an expression he had learned from humans. We show them what happens when you threaten a family's home. Outside, Earth continued to spin peacefully through space, its cities glowing with the warm light of a billion homes. The Keth fleet hung in orbit like protective guardians. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, the most unlikely alliance in galactic history prepared to face its greatest test. The Nexus Horde was coming to destroy another world. But this time, they would learn what humans meant when they said, "Home is worth fighting for." And they would discover that sometimes the best way to defeat an enemy is to show them something they've never understood. That two species can become one people, united by nothing more complicated than the simple act of sharing a meal.